God says to his people, if you'll stop thinking about and dreaming about what I used to do and what you used to have and where you used to be, and awake your soul to my presence right now, you'll see I haven't left you and I'm still with you. Put on Christ. Put on Christ. You gotta wake up in the morning and get dressed on purpose. I'm telling my mindset what it can wear today. Do any of y'all do conference calls as a part of your job? Have any of you ever missed a conference call because you didn't clarify the time zone before you got on the call? Anytime I set up a conference call now, I want to make sure we're in the same time zone. I want to make sure we're talking EST. I got to figure out where you are and where I am so we can get this thing synced up. I don't want to be waiting on you or you waiting on me because I thought 9 o'clock and you thought 12 o'clock because you were West Coast and I'm East Coast. We got to sync this thing up. And God says to his people, if you'll stop thinking about and dreaming about what I used to do and what you used to have and where you used to be, and awake your soul to my presence right now, you'll see I haven't left you and I'm still with you. Alertness, number two. Man, that was just one. I got to pick up the pace here. Pick the pace up. Everybody say, hurry up, preacher. You weren't supposed to actually say it. You're supposed to say, take your time. Discouraging, I'll tell you what. Number two, I want to talk about attire. Attire, as in your clothing choice. Because I like how Isaiah puts it, it's like a little bit of a getting ready ritual. He says, awake, awake. So you got to wake up. And then the next thing he says is, look at verse 1. Clothe yourself, look at verse 1. Clothe yourself with strength. Put on your garments of splendor, Jerusalem, the holy city. So you got to wake up and you need to get dressed. You need to pick out your clothes for the day. And in researching this sermon, I asked a few people, how do you decide what to wear when you go out into any given day? And it was magnificent to see the differences between the male response and the female response. The women had this long list. Well, first of all, I consider what I'm going to be doing. And I think about the functionality of my shoes. This is going to determine whether or not I wear flats or heels or sneakers. Now, I don't want to wear something too dressed down, but if I'm going to have to be active a little bit later in the day, I might choose a loose-fitting shirt and jeans. However, if I'm going to be in a business environment all day, you know what the dude said? They didn't take any time at all. It's the quickest interview. What is clean? That's the only criteria from the men on what they wore. I just need something that doesn't smell bad. That's all it comes down to. But you know, spiritually speaking, that's fine with your jacket. That's fine with your jeans. But spiritually speaking, you got to get dressed on purpose before you go out into the world, or you'll get hurt. You got to clothe yourself with strength. You've got to make a decision to put on what Isaiah calls here your garments of splendor. So I picture that after I wake up in the morning, this is the day in the life of praise, and I alert myself and say, today I got to be on the lookout for the ways that God is speaking in my life and the ways that God is showing himself in my life. Now I got to get dressed so I can go out, and now that I'm ready to see God, I got to dress for my spiritual success. You know, I got to pick out the right things to put on. Isaiah said you need to put on your garments of splendor. That means there must be some things in your closet that are not very splendiferous. That means there must be some stuff in your closet that you need to get rid of. Oh, now I'm gonna preach to you. I'm coming right in your negative mindset. I'm coming right in your bad attitude. Because you know, there's some stuff you wear spiritually that doesn't look so good on you. Now, if you have a real friend, they'll tell you when something doesn't look real good on you. A real friend will. A real friend will say, you know, that's not your best look. A real friend will tell you, you know, I'm sure at one time in a former life that you had, that fits you well. But I need to let you know, that's a little too tight now. You're a little too big for that now. We need to upsize. Now, come on, a real friend will tell you that's not your best look. And you know, the best friend you'll ever have in your life is the Holy Spirit of God. Because the Spirit of God will look at a complaining attitude that you put on in your mind and say, you know, that's not your best look. You know, that doesn't fit you too well. You know, I think you need to get rid of that. You know, you need to put on something different. It'd be one thing if that's the only option you had. But when God has given you robes of righteousness, why in the world would you wear that crappy attitude? Why in the world would you wear a bitter attitude? Why in the world would you wear a judgmental attitude? And the Spirit is saying, I love you enough to tell you, you've outgrown that. One day when me and Holly first got married, she wanted to go through my closet and clean it out. So we went in together. And that wasn't very good for our marriage to go in together. So I said, next time you just do it without me. And then afterwards you can show me what you did. But I don't need to be involved in the process because I'm too attached to some of the garments that you think are past their prime, but to me they carry memories and they're very nostalgic. And I don't want this altercation to happen again where I'm frustrated with you while you're trying to help me. So you just do it next time, and then later on I'll come in and see what you've done, but I won't be a part of the decision-making process. So I remember the first time she did this, and she cleaned it out and she did her part, but I found the box where she put the stuff. I found it and I went in it and I rescued a few of those poor garments, those underappreciated, undervalued garments, and I rescued them. And I'll never forget when she caught me for the first time in one of those extra large t-shirts with the holes up in the, yeah, it was comfortable too. And it meant a lot to me, and she didn't understand that because we have different values when it comes to clothing choice, because there are many different reasons that you could enjoy a garment, and it's not always about appearance, and she doesn't understand this, but I did understand this. So I rescued this poor shirt. It was like a little mission, a little rescue mission, and I was wearing it around the house. I didn't know she was gonna be there, and she caught me in the shirt, and she said something to me. She said, I thought we got rid of that. I wonder if God ever looks at, I wonder, does he ever size you up and say, how did you find that box? That box was supposed to go to Goodwill. I thought we got rid of that. I thought when you gave your life to me, you gave up some of those words that you were just speaking. That's not your best. I thought we got rid of that. I got you new clothes. I got you custom tailored clothes. I made it to measure and it looks real good on you. Why would you wear that when I've given you my son? In fact, in the New Testament, Paul says it like this: put on Christ. Put on Christ. You got to wake up in the morning and get dressed on purpose and say, I'm telling my mindset what it can wear today. I'm telling my tongue what it can say today. I'm telling my voice what it can articulate today. And there's some stuff I'm not allowed to wear anymore because it don't look good on me. I'm too big for gossip. I'm too big for cynicism. I'm too big to wear worry like a garment. I'm trusting in the Lord. I'm clothed in Him. I'm covered by Him. You got to get dressed on purpose. And you know what I found out the best way to get dressed on purpose? Lay your clothes out the night before. You gotta plan this thing. You gotta think it through and lay it out and make sure it's clean. Don't just settle for whatever is available. You gotta have a plan to praise God. You got to know, what am I going to do to orient this day, robed in the attire of the attitude of gratitude, and wear the righteousness of Christ in my demeanor. And it's a decision that you make. Come on, we're getting rid of some stuff over these 52 days. I know it hurts you because you've always thought that way, and I know it's comfortable for you to complain, and I know it's comfortable for you to feel sorry for yourself, and I know it's comfortable for you to say things like, I'm so tired, but you too big. You too big. I mean, in a good way now. You're too big to wear that ratty t-shirt. You don't look good in that. Making you look kind of funny. Making you look like you don't belong on God's team. That's the wrong colors on you. Anger is the wrong color on you. What you wearing? Or maybe I should say, like they say on the runway, who you wearing? Who you wearing? I'm wearing Jesus Christ. I'm wearing garments of praise, my garments of splendor. He didn't die for me to wear some hand-me-down attitude that I got from my mom. No, I'm turning this around, and I will speak of the goodness of God. And I might be a little tired, but guess what? I got a supernatural energy, and I'm wearing what He paid for. I'm wearing the good stuff. Oh, man. Be seated, be seated, be seated. You got to get dressed for battle. You got to do what Paul said, put on the full armor of God so you can take your stand against the devil's schemes. Watch Ephesians 6, verse 12. For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world and the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms. This isn't just a fashion statement. When you get dressed spiritually, it's a matter of life and death. Therefore, verse 13, put on the full armor of God. Put it on before you go out. Put it on before you go out. Put on the full armor of God. What is it? Let's go item by item. So that when the day of evil comes, you'll be able to stand your ground after you've done everything to stand. Stand firm then with the belt of truth buckled around your waist, with the breastplate of righteousness in place, and with your feet fitted, everybody say, I got new shoes. With the readiness that comes from the gospel of peace. I'm ready, 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 I'm ready. I don't know where God's taking me today, but I'm dressed for anything. In fact, I packed another bag just in case we go somewhere. I got a praise, even if it doesn't go like I think it's gonna go today. I got a little carry-on, and I'll just change clothes. And if I find myself in a battle, I got a helmet. And if I find some arrows flying at my heart, I got a breastplate, and I got a belt to hold me fast, the truth of God. Come on, I got shoes of the gospel of peace. And in addition, here's the accessory, verse 16. To all this, take up the shield of faith with which you can extinguish all the flaming arrows of the evil one. Take the helmet of salvation and the sword of the Spirit, which is the Word of God. Quick example, and I'm on to number 3. Y'all know Chunks, he's the CFO of the church. He came to me. This is about a year ago. And I had some bad social media habits. But not a lot of people would have known it. Because I got into this thing where when people were saying mean stuff to me on Twitter every once in a while, not all the time, but about 1 out of every 100, I would find out if they followed me, and if they did, I would direct message them back. I don't want everybody to see what I said, but I wanted to say something. I had something I wanted to say. And usually I just ignore it, look the other way. But I started lighting some people up. I didn't say anything unchristian or ungodly, but it certainly wasn't edifying or helpful. And he found out because some of the people I was direct messaging got in touch with the church. I'm not real proud to share this example, but I want to be real. Because I want to just get up here, where your praise? You know, sometimes
So he said, I'll never forget how he said it too. He said, I want to talk to you a little bit. We're in a meeting, the regular meeting. He said, I'll talk to you about some social media decisions. Now, this is kind of difficult because he works for me, but he knows he needs to say something. He said, do you really think that's the best way for you to respond? If it is, just let me know so I can be ready to deal with the fallout. But if you think there might be a better way, I just wanted to alert you to this pattern. And I made a decision. I said, you know what? That doesn't look right on me. I'm too big for that. Don't look right on me to have 1,000 people I could encourage, people in my church sick with cancer, and instead of calling them to pray with them, I'm firing something off on Twitter to somebody who might be going through a difficult time of their own, and that's why this doesn't look right on me. So I got to change these clothes. It's not fitting for where I'm going. It's not fitting for who I am. It's not fitting for what God has called me to do. Attire. And I'm stuck right now because I got 2 more points, and I can't decide whether to cut this off here and finish it next week or try to get through them. Let's at least get to number 3, and maybe I'll send you out with a benediction on 3, and we'll carry over 4, because this is a 2-week message. Everybody say alertness, attire, and I also want to talk to you about access. Access. Because Isaiah is prophesying, right? And he's saying, okay, you're going to be taken captive. You're going to be in a strange situation. You're going to have a reason to be fearful and terrified and discouraged. But you do have a promise. So he's prophesying about the predicament that they're going to be in. But he's also giving them a promise. And I want us to look at it as a principle here. Look at it in verse 1, part B. He says, the uncircumcised, if anybody snuck in here who's supposed to be an E-Kids, you can ask your parents about that word when you get done. That's why you all send your kids to E-Kids, so they don't hear words like uncircumcised in church. This is not actually what we would think, for us is a little awkward, but for them it was a sign of the covenant to be circumcised. So the invading people who took them away were uncircumcised. It says, the uncircumcised and defiled will not enter you again. Now look, I looked at that partially as a promise, partially as God giving his people an inspiration. He's saying, you're in captivity, but I want you to remember 150 years from now when you get there that I'm going to bring you out, and there will be a time when you won't be invaded anymore. But what if it's not just an inspiration, but an instruction? If God is saying, you got to make a decision what you let in and out of your life. The uncircumcised and defiled will not enter you again. And so, yeah, you got to wake up. And yeah, you got to get dressed. But you've also got to lock up and make a decision when you go out in your day, because you can wake up and get dressed, but then get in the car and get into all kinds of situations, because life is not lived in the closet. Life is lived in the comings and goings, right? And so now let's bring it to a mental level. Isaiah's talking about physical enemies, Babylonians. He's talking about people who wish to do God's people harm. But I wonder if the verse doesn't also apply to the thoughts and attitudes that come to us that mean to do us harm. I wonder if God isn't saying, now, after you wake up and after you get dressed, you need to put up some signs that say, keep out, over certain places in your heart and mind. You got to make a decision not to let certain thought patterns just dominate your mind. Here's the way God showed it to me. You can't control who drives by in your life, but you can control who gets in your heart. Yeah. Now coming to this side, see if they're a little quicker. You with me, GTA, Matthews? How you doing, John Bishop? Check this out. This is just for you. You can't control who drives by, But God has given you an opportunity to determine who you let in. So watch. Thoughts of anxiety might drive by, but that doesn't mean I have to let them in. Thoughts of negativity and cynicism may drive by, but that doesn't mean I have to just open up the gates and let them in. So there's an access code. And I'm assigning to my heart an access code. And I'm saying, if I'm going to live this day in the life of praise, I can't let defiled thoughts come into my mind. In fact, there are certain things that you don't need to allow people to talk about around you anymore. Well, I can't keep them from talking. Yeah, but you don't have to stay there and listen. You know, there's certain people, the conversation always goes to hell when they open their mouth. You ever notice? Don't look at anybody right now. This is a bad time for you to make eye contact with your neighbor. Look at the screen, look at the screen, look at the screen. Now, here comes negativity. Here comes fear. Here comes panic. Here comes the thing that's trying to rob me of my praise and my joy and my thanks. But guess what? You're going to have to drive by, because I'm not open for business of this sort right now. I'm locked down by the love of God. You hear what I'm telling you? Don't feel bad because you don't just allow any thought to come into your life. You got to set up armed guards at the entrance of your heart and say, my praise is too important. My peace is too important. My holiness is too important. My gratitude is too important. The Lord is too important for me to just let unidentified people walk in. Now, if you're going to come in my mind, you've got to identify yourself. You need to learn how to look at your thoughts and say, identify yourself. And if you didn't come from God, you can drive by, but you can't come in, because I'm protecting something inside the gates. Come on, church. Last week we talked about building a wall. Some of y'all look depressed. Don't let that depression come in. Don't let it come in. It can knock on the door, but it can't come in, because the lock's on the inside. Hey, joy's on the inside. Peace is on the inside. My praise comes from the inside.
So let me ask you a question. If Nehemiah in the Bible was able to rebuild the walls around Jerusalem in 52 days, why can't you rebuild your mindset with God's help in 52 days? Why can't you rebuild your perspective to reflect the attitude of heaven, which is peace and joy and hope and righteousness? Why can't you take the next 52 days of your life and rewire your brain to see things the way that God sees things? I want to help you do just that. And today we have a special resource that's going to help you live in an atmosphere and at an altitude of praise and gratitude. That's where freedom comes in your life. That's where the chains are broken. This resource is called Chain Breakers, Gratitude. And it includes a special 52 card set for 52 days of thanks and praise. You're gonna love this challenge. You're gonna love this journey, as well as the teaching that comes along with your gift of support to this broadcast. I'm excited for you to get this. I believe it's gonna create some good habits in your life, really change the way you start your day, which will change the way you end your day, which will change your future. Now, in addition, you're gonna get a special 52 card set called 52 Days of Thanks and Praise with your gift of support to the ministry. And let me tell you, we value your partnership. You help us get the message out. You make a difference in the world. And I want to thank you for your support today. Take action. Here's more information on how to get Chain Breakers today.
It's easy to thank God when we feel blessed, but when life gets hard, praising God can seem like the last thing we want to do.
What if the thing that's been holding you captive your whole life is just an indication of the potency of the calling that's inside of you? And if it ever got loose, if it ever got free, if it ever got out, it might change the world.
how do we shift our perspective in the face of our greatest struggles? In the powerful sermon series, Chain Breakers Gratitude, Pastor Steven Furtick teaches us how to shift our perspective so that praise and gratitude can break any chain that is holding us down. For your gift of any amount to the ministry today, we'd love to send you this 2-sermon series, and you will also receive the 52 Days of Thanks and Praise card set as our way of saying thank you.
And I make the decision every day of my life through my perspective, whether I'm gonna let chains break my praise or whether I'm gonna command my praise to break my chains.
To receive the full Chain Breakers experience, you can also request the 2-part DVD series, Chain Breakers Attitude, and the NIV Integrated Study Bible with your gift of $100 or more. Visit us online at stevenfurtick.com, call the number on your screen, or text the word BREAK to 41444 to request Chain Breakers and begin to see the power of praise in your life today.